Hello, everybody, and welcome to Cartoon Boom! This is a show where we wake by the Saturday morning sun, plop down on the floor with big little sugars here, and watch all your favorite cartoons, both old and new. I'm Joseph.
And I'm an imaginary ninja friend. My name's Chris.
And this morning, we watched Afro Samurai.
This was suggested to us by David B. via Facebook, so thank you, David.
Thanks, David.
Thanks, David.
So Afro Samurai ran in, just 2007. This is based on Afro Samurai manga, written and illustrated by Takashi Okazaki, which was in publication from 1998 to 2002, directed by Fuminori Kazaki, produced by Japanese anime studio Gonzo, and licensed by, in Australia, Madman Entertainment, in North America, Funimation, and in the UK, Manga Entertainment. This ran for one season, 5 episodes, originally on the Wow Wow network in Japan. It's a thing.
Wow.
MTV and ABC2 in Australia, Spike TV in North America, and Adult Swim / Bravo in the UK.
Surprised it wasn't Adult Swim in America, and instead it was Spike TV here. That seems backwards to me, but sure, why not?
Yeah, that's at least where it premiered, so maybe it did. I mean, I do believe it ended up on Adult Swim at some point in America, because I feel like that's where I remember seeing it initially, but maybe not.
Spike TV just like... I mean, I'll say this. Back in the day when we were in college, they did have, every once in a while, they would play some, music videos every once in a while that were pretty cool. But for the most part, Spike TV to me just seems like the channel for dudes wearing Affliction t-shirts and sunglasses indoors. I don't know.
That's still some people's style for some reason.
Yeah, and it's remained to this day.
Yeah,
the legend is continued.
I'm surprised Spike TV hasn't stuck around.
Yeah.
But for a short synopsis, a black samurai goes on a mission to avenge the wrongful death of his father in a futuristic feudal Japan. That's kind of like a oxymoron, a futuristic feudal Japan.
Yeah, that is kind of weird. Yeah, it's interesting though when you think about that, how much that sounds like Samurai Jack aside from the avenging the father thing. But there is a ton of comparisons that can be made to Samurai Jack.
Yeah, definitely. But it's like instead of going to the future, it's like blending this future with the present or with the past. I don't know. The time period is very strange.
That much is true. Yes.
So who are some of the actors who played in this show?
There was a lot of really, really good ones. Like this show was jam-packed with some of the best of the best. And some that usually don't do a whole lot of voice acting, like the voice of Afro and also Ninja, which was Samuel L. Jackson, which is really, really cool. And he did an amazing job, especially as Ninja. That dude was cracking me up so hard throughout this entire thing. But Samuel L. Jackson needs no introduction. You all know who he is. The voice of Justice was done by Ron Perlman, another person that I really don't need to talk about, but we have seen him pop up every once in a while on our podcast here doing some voice roles. The voice of Sasuke was Jason Marsden, who actually voiced Max in a Goofy movie, which we haven't covered yet, but we did just cover Goof Troop. So he didn't voice Max in Goof Troop, but he did in the movie. He was also Binks in Hocus Pocus, which is a movie I watch every year. And currently the voice of Bart Allen in Young Justice. The voice of Otsuru was Tara Strong, another person that we talk about on this show all the time. Extremely, extremely talented woman, voice actor. The voices of Brother 1, Brother 3, and Brother 5 were Phil Lamar, another very versatile voice actor, and also was the voice of Samurai Jack. So there's another one of our links there. Which there will be several. The voice of Brother 2, and also lots of various voices that I'm sure you noticed through pretty much any episode, like almost any additional voice, it was John DiMaggio. He was popping up all over the place in this thing as various characters. Another person that's very, very well known. He's been in the news recently for Bender, whether or not he was coming back to Futurama and everything like that. But I guess he is. Brother 6 and Afro's dad were both voiced by Greg Eagles, mostly known to me as Grim from the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, that really distinct low voice. Brother 4 and Swordmaster, voiced by T.C. Carson, who was the original voice of Kratos before Christopher Judge. I guess, and I feel bad for this, I didn't realize that somebody else voiced him first. I feel like a jerk for that, but sorry, dude. Sorry, TC. Sorry about that. He also voices Mace Windu in Star Wars The Clone Wars. Jino, aka Kuma, was voiced by Yuri Lowenthal, who's a huge anime alum. He's been in tons and tons of anime. I saw him once at San Diego Comic-Con when he voiced at a voice actors panel, and he was really just really interesting, had a lot of the stuff to say. He was the voice of Peter Parker in the Spider-Man 2018 game, and he's going to reprise that role for the upcoming 2023 game as well. He's also the voice of Adam, aka He-Man, in the newest Netflix He-Man series. Not the Kevin Smith one, but the one that they released literally like a month after that. That was all like, CG. And they were like, this one's better, we promise. Even though I had no problem with the Kevin Smith one. But there it is. And then finally, the voice of Darman was S. Scott Bullock. And there's your cast. I mean, there's a few more that come and go, but that were like one-off characters, which I might mention as we talk about them or as we get introduced to their characters. But my God, this is a hugely talented cast.
Yeah, and Ron Perlman, just to bring him up, did not phone this one in like Shaggoth. So
no, I still mention that every once in a while. I still think about that when we watched. And I don't think we did it on the regular Cartoon Boom episode. I think we did it on just a YouTube special several Halloweens ago when it was one of the, Howard Lovecraft movies. I think we only did one of them actually as an episode on here, but we watched a movie together and he was just like, who disturbs the sleep of Shaggoth? Then that was pretty much how the line sounded. It was really bad. This one, holy crap. He nailed this so good.
Yeah, you can't even really tell it's him without knowing.
No, I had no idea. There's something about the voice, the timbre of it. I was just like, what is this? Sounds somewhat familiar, but I would not have guessed it was him.
So good. So for a few tasty marshmallows out of our big bowl of Afro Samurai cereal, Okazaki started drawing African-American characters on items like Kleenex boxes when he was a teenager, inspired by his fondness for hip-hop and soul music. He also drew ideas from American media and their depiction of Japanese culture. Takashi started combining elements of samurai into his work, eventually developing a design for Afro, which was also based on the legendary black samurai Yasuke, who existed during the Sengoku period of Japan. And that's interesting now, especially because Yasuke has a separate series that is also an anime, or I guess a westernized anime. I'm not certain how you describe that exactly, but yeah, which I've seen and is also really cool. So yeah, it's nice to see Yasuke even an inspiration for him in Afro Samurai.
I was kind of wondering as you were talking before you even brought it up, if maybe Yasuke was an inspiration for this story. And yeah, that ended up being the case. So that's really cool. I really wanted to check out that anime, but I never got to it. But the guy that voices Yasuke, for some reason I'm just missing his name right now, but he's in Atlanta and he's been in quite a few things. But man, that guy's fantastic. So I really, really want to check that out.
Yeah, I heard, and this was after I watched it, I heard there were some problematic things with the creator and something with the development of it with the team he was working with. I didn't delve too far into it, so that's just a lot of it's speculation based on what I had seen. So I'm not saying don't watch it. I'm just saying maybe do some research on that.
Yeah, I've heard similar things, but I don't know what actually happened. I just know that there's some controversy around the creator, but that's all I know about it.
Mm-hmm. Also, one of Okazaki's friends decided to make action figures based on the character from just the manga, which were released in small amounts. After those were created, a producer from the Japanese studio Gonzo happened to find them and thought of an animated TV project based on the series. So this was kind of inspired by these random action figures made by the guy's friend just because he loved the manga so much. And it was announced that the series would be a 5-episode creative collaboration between Samuel L. Jackson, Takashi Okazaki, the creator, and Studio Gonzo, with a music score by hip-hop artist The RZA from rap group Wu-Tang Clan.
Nice.
So it was a huge collaborative effort after Samuel L. Jackson got his hands on it. It was I'm loving this. I think he had seen like a trailer after they had started creating it and just wanted to be a part of it. So all of this got tied in it because of, I guess, word of mouth more than anything.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Who would have thought like Samuel L. Jackson would be like, hey man, I'm so into this anime. We got to do this thing. Like, I want to be a part of it. Like, it's just so cool to see like, names like that, like this 70-year-old actor who's done like these huge, big projects and stuff. Also be like, hey man, I really like anime,
Well, yeah, I mean, especially ones that are representative of his culture too.
Yeah.
I would assume that has a big part in it, which makes a lot of sense.
Just so cool. Well, before we move on, I just want to give a real quick shout out to Andy, the newest Twig level member of the Nerd Sloth Treehouse. Thank you so much for choosing to help support us so we can keep bringing these podcasts and all the other content that we create over at nerdsloth.com and YouTube and Twitch. It means a ton to us. So thank you so much for choosing to do so. If you want to support us, specifically Cartoon Boom, and don't have the means to do so financially, you can consider giving us a rating wherever you listen to podcasts, whether that's Apple, Spotify, or Good Pods, which is a huge growing social media integrated podcatcher. And Cartoon Boom was recently in the top 10 list of the animation and manga category. Any positive votes we get helps us move up those charts, which increases the chances of more potential listeners finding the show. So again, if you want to throw in some free support, consider giving us a rating wherever you can because it seriously means the world to us. Thank you so much in advance if you do so. And maybe that'll also guilt you a little bit too because I'm already thanking you. So thanks.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Well, let's go and jump into the episodes we watched for today's show, starting with the very first one, which, depending on where you watch it, I think is going to go by a different name. In Japan, I believe, or at least on the initial release, it was just called Number 2. And it's been named as far as when I watched it on Hulu, I'll say that it was called Revenge, but it's the same episode. It's just different names. This is season 1, episode 1. After a young boy named Afro witnesses Justice kill his father and claim the number 1 headband, he begins his quest to avenge his father's death. As he travels towards justice, he is challenged by many fighters wishing to claim the number 2 headband that he wears. Man,
that is kind of the synopsis for the entire show, not just the first episode, man.
It's true, but it does kick off this way.
Yeah, first off, if you don't know already, this is a show not for kids. This is definitely an adult cartoon.
Oh, yeah, we should probably say that ahead of everything else. There's a lot of blood in this and brief nudity in at least one of the episodes.
And definitely some language for sure. Lots of language, actually.
Oh, so much language, yes.
Yes. But it's usually from my favorite character of this entire thing, which is great. But yeah, this guy Justice, who is usually wielding pistols, he's very cowboy-esque, which is interesting because it kind of makes this look somewhat Western, but also that feudal Japan kind of look like mixed together. But those two things existing in a cyberpunk wasteland atmosphere as well. So it's like these 3 different genres all blended together, and it's kind of nuts, but in the best way possible.
Right. Anything goes, really, because in this setting, you've got your basic feudal Japan items, like you've got your samurai and their samurai gear and or like kimonos or whatever, and also you've got katanas and plenty of other weapons like that. But then on the other side of it, you've got cybernetics, you've got robots, you've got lasers, you've got missiles. Like you shouldn't be surprised by anything you see in this.
Lots of missiles. There's a lot of missiles in this, believe it or not. Like there's way more missiles than I ever expected to see in a samurai show. So
a surprising amount of missiles.
Yeah. But
then you've also still got those like gunpowder, like flintlock weapons that they used in feudal Japan. So it's like not everybody uses them, but some people have access. I don't understand exactly. And you're not really meant to. You just kind of accept things as they are here.
Yeah, I guess it's sort of a whatever your style is, like you're free to use it and it'll be effective enough for so long, just do your thing. But yeah, we see a flashback right off the bat of a young Afro, and we don't know his real name. He just goes by Afro. He's the Afro Samurai when he grows up. But Justice sure does take this guy's his dad's head right off during a fight. And that's rough for a kid, that's traumatizing.
Yeah, because to lay out the reasoning behind this, it's because Afro's father has the number one headband, and everyone is seeking that because that is what I guess has you perceived as a god of sorts.
Yes.
Or the king of combat, at least, like the best fighter in the world or whatever. So, but the only person who can challenge the number one headband is the number two headband. But when you have the number two headband, anybody can challenge you. Like, it's free game. So
Yeah.
it's the process of getting that headband, which Justice now has, so that you can ultimately face the person with the number one headband to become the supreme ruler, essentially.
And there is something magical and or mystical about that number one headband, because every once in a while it doesn't show it like right off the bat. It's just very, I don't know, it alludes to it quite often. And then we really see it kind of take place in that last episode that we watch, that if you have that headband, I guess for so long too, like you definitely have some certain abilities and skills and things like that are not natural per se. And if that thing gets removed, per se, other things happen as well. So yeah, there's something mystical about it. Like, it's not just the piece of cloth and a meaning to it. There is some sort of power.
And something I want to throw out there, because you've already mentioned Ninja, one of the characters that Samuel L. Jackson plays. In this format, in the anime, he is sort of acting as Afro's almost imaginary friend or imaginary conscience or something to that degree. But in the manga, it's sort of like anybody who is wielding the number two headband, like he is the protector of those individuals. Ninja is.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, but that's not how it is in the anime. Like, it's
Right.
not even like passed off as such, because there's also a spiritual character who protects the one with the number one headband as well in the manga, but they're not seen at all in this. So I think they just disregarded that part for the anime.
And I was kind of wondering that too. Like, we didn't see a full explanation for it, aside from you kind of get maybe some hints that specifically that Afro is the only one that can hear Ninja, or maybe even see him, though we do learn later that at least one other person can see Ninja, which is Justice. And I guess Ninja can somewhat take on a corporeal form because of events that'll happen in an episode we'll talk about, but it's very interesting. Like, there's just so much packed into this 5-episode show. It's kind of mind-bending, the amount of different things all happening in tandem with each other. And we haven't even gone on to talk about really like what happens in this first episode, like, because a lot does kind of happen here, but there's just so much to get through in the beginning. Just the setup of everything is kind of crazy.
Yeah, so basically, to go into the first episode, you've already mentioned that Afro's father gets beheaded by Justice, who then becomes the wielder of the number one headband. And after that, like, he sees Afro there, like, defeated, like, he's down there, like, obviously mourning his father's death. And he kind of just tosses him the number two headband and is like, hey, like, come at me when you're older, when you've trained to come try to take this back.
That little speech he gives, oof, that speech he gives is so good.
And it's really what sets things off or sets things in motion. At least in the first episode, we don't really get to see much more of him as a kid. It sort of jumps us into the future, or the present, rather, where he's an adult and he is still the wielder of the number two headband, and now is just sort of taking on challengers as they come, people who are underestimating him, or just consider him legend, and that assume he's not as powerful as he is. So he's got people coming after him.
Yeah, of which there are a lot. Yeah, there's tons. Like, we see him go up against like a group of like 20 guys at once, which he absolutely annihilates them. I mean, it's just no contest. They're mincemeat, basically. And what I like too is the idea that we're not always 100% following him, and we get to see a little bit more of this world explored too, because we get to see this tavern not too long after that scene where, I mean, he's on the way, he's arriving there, and someone runs in there, warning everybody and telling everyone. And just seeing all of these these baddies and mercenaries and other dudes all just talking about it. Some are scared, some are excited, some are just like, bloodthirsty and ready to try their hand at it. And just getting to see all the dynamics at play just surrounding Afro Samurai's legend, it is really cool. And it really built a lot of the, I don't know, like a lot of the prestige that he carries without anyone having to just lay it out for us, because we just catch it in the conversations being had. And I thought that was such a cool way to do it.
And that sort of reminds me of Trigun in the sense that everyone is excited. Well, there are people who are excited about getting that 60 billion double dollars by like killing Vash, but there's also people who are just terrified because he's the humanoid typhoon. And it's kind of that. In the sense that there are people on both sides of this who either fear him or are excited to get a hold of that number 2 headband so that they can challenge justice after that.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of dudes in there that think they're going to get it. There's this one guy, I think it was Soshun, who is just kind of chilling there, just sort of asking some questions, being kind of nonchalant about it. More so just talking to the tavern girl who's working there a few questions, who was Oyuki, who's voiced by Gray Delisle. And he's just kind of gathering intel while some of the others are actually, like, they literally break into a fight about who's going to actually be the one to take him down. And while all that's going on, like, Afro actually does walk in and then just orders a lemonade. And then that big dude, the biggest dude in the tavern, just shatters his lemonade. So he orders another one and puts it on the big dude's tab. And when the big dude tries to confront him, he just kind of backhand punches him. And the dude just goes flying. And that just sort of stops like everybody from like, trying. They're just like, oh, okay. Okay.
There is one interested party who had spoken with the bartender earlier asking about Afro Samurai. He's the one in the like kind of, I don't know what, it's a samurai hat, but I don't know what that specific kind is called, where it's kind of rounded.
Yeah.
And he confronts him after the fact, after he leaves the tavern, since no one else is going to attack him after seeing what he's capable of. And he confronts him on his way up to Shumi Mountain, which is where the justice is at the top of that. So his mission essentially is to ascend this mountain and get to him. But he's facing challenges along the way. His first one being this dude who is I think he says his family is like the weapon masters of some village or something of the sort. So he is pulling out all sorts of different weapons. He's got this huge like cannon thing that's like he's
got a bazooka,
like an auto crossbow thing or auto crossbow thing. It's a bazooka, it's a grenade launcher, like it's everything. So he's fighting him with that against Afro and his blade. That's it.
Yeah, that was a really cool fight too. I mean, it was all over the place, and just one of the best parts to this entire thing is Ninja's commentary to every fight. Like he does commentary on every fight, and it's usually just that's when like you can hear the comedy of Sam Jackson coming out, and it sounds like him too. Whereas when he's portraying Afro, you can't really always tell that it's Samuel L. Jackson. But Ninja is him to a T, and he is at his funniest, and he's being just so hilarious. Like all the goofy stuff he says, and he's so over the top and so exaggerated. And it just is such a fun juxtaposition to these huge, just amazing, stunning, choreographed animated fights. Lots of blood and, weapons and all kinds of carnage. And then these just silly jokes just all over the place. And pretty much as soon as that's done, we've seen him being followed and spied upon by these guys throughout this episode, which we later find out are part of, was it the Empty Clan?
The Empty Seven Clan.
The Empty Seven Clan. And then one of them, Brother Six, shows up with some equally powerful stuff. He's got like a bazooka thing of his own and starts blasting Afro with that as the episode closes out. But man, it was just a crazy first episode.
Yeah. Also, like one of the bolts had hit him or had just like grazed him, which poisoned him, which is what slowed him down to the
Yeah.
point where number 6 was able to come in and actually do something, which was pull out that big RPG, that giant bazooka, and blow up the ground beneath him so that he fell off.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched the whole series, so I might mix things up a little bit. I'm going to try not to, but I just watched the whole series today because I was like, oh, it's so good.
Nice.
We'll move on to the second episode that we watched for today's show, which was the Empty Seven Clan, Season 1, Episode 3. This was a Patreon pick by Semantics, so thank you for choosing this one.
Thanks, Semantics.
As Afro climbs the mountain in search of justice, the Empty Seven Clan debates over who should fight him. Afro ends up fighting the android that they made in his image and invades their lair. Oof, man. This was cool because it was basically Afro versus Afro.
Yeah, this got crazy. There's this long kind of intro of this episode where we're seeing a lot more of the Empty Seven Clan and how they are operating and what they're about. And they're just basically trying to find the best person to kill Afro and who deserves to do it and can they do it. And Brother One has created the Afro droid using some intel from another person who I think at this point is probably dead, knowing how this show goes. And yeah, he creates the Afro droid, but there's a whole bunch of other people there that also want to get their hands on Afro and do the deed themselves. Some of those are Ivanov, and there's another guy, I think, Fu, and just also this just huge group of mercenaries and stuff. They all want to kill Afro. They all want to be the one to get the headband. So Brother One decides, okay, we'll do a battle royale and then the winner can do it. And just the Afro droid just slaughters everyone within seconds, like just destroys the entire room. It is no contest. It's just
like a literal bloodbath.
Yeah, it is disgusting the amount of body parts that are just left over, because that's all it is. So then as he's like approaching I guess it's like a temple where their hideout is, there's a bridge leading up to it, and we get that really cool shot of Afro and then Afro droid on the other side of the bridge waiting, and the two facing off against each other. Man, that was cool. And then that fight, holy crap, that fight was good.
Yeah, it essentially is like Afro droid knows all of Afro's moves because he's been programmed with all of them from observation and what have you. So what Afro has to lean back on is teachings from his previous master, which were basically like you have to almost act without acting. Like, don't hold a pose, don't do anything like that. Just react instead of acting always.
Yeah. This was, I think, my favorite part with Ninja was this, where especially when he starts freaking out because he can't tell who is who, and he keeps yelling, which one is you? And then he's like, finally Afro starts bleeding. He's like, oh, that is you bleeding. Hate to say, man, you losing. Just stuff like that. It's just so funny. And then he like falls over the side of the bridge and he's hanging on and he's like, ah. Oh man, it was just so good. But yeah, he had to become unpredictable to win.
Right. And in doing so, like he kind of slices down through the Afro droid and it falls off a bridge, but it has a self-destruct, or at least a bomb attached to it. So it blows up the entire bridge. Afro is able to at least outrun that and enter the temple, where he kind of ends up facing the rest of the Empty Seven Clan one by one. The first one, I don't remember which one he is, but the one with headphones was just trying to go like a peaceful route.
Three,
yeah. He's just like,
nah.
Please give me the headband. Just please drop the headband. And he's just like offering him tea and stuff. He just walks by him. He doesn't kill him or anything. And the others do try to attack.
He's always got headphones on, which I think is kind of funny. So he's just like, he's still listening to his headphones and just like kind of like on his knees bowing down. He's got tea prepared and he just keeps saying, Kudasai, like over and over again. It was pretty good.
Which had translated to like, please give me the headband or something like that. And so that is what like takes us to the rest of them. Number 6 comes out, who's the really big one, the tank of the group, I guess, or the buff one. And he then, after like he fights with Afro and is defeated, he releases his 2 brothers because Afro's sword is stuck in him. So he releases his 2 brothers from the backpack that he had on, that he had the RPG in before. And so they try to get him while his sword is stuck in number 6. And he ends up defeating everyone eventually. But that then takes us to another showdown against Afro Droid, who is kind of like Terminatored out now, where his skin has now fallen off, or he's kind of burnt it off, and now he's just complete droid form.
Yeah. So we get another really good fight, and this one goes just off the wall bonkers. They're even like end up like way up in the sky at one point fighting, which is great, and then fall back down through the temple and everything. Afro is victorious, of course, because this would be real short.
The finale of that, though, it's just such a phallic thing, and it's hilarious because the way he finishes is like this huge cannon, this phallic shaped cannon erects from his chest and blast, like it starts charging up this beam. Afro like throws a sword at it to like knock him over, and so it's like just shoots straight up into the air, and that finishes off the android. But he's just like, that felt good, as he falls over. And I think it was Ninja was just like, oh, he blew his load, man.
Yeah. Well, and then the cannon goes just totally flaccid. Like,
yeah,
it just kind of flops over.
Right.
Oh, man.
So the symbolism was very clear.
Yeah, super clear. Too clear. I like to, like, after all that, there's just an elevator to make it up to Brother One. And Ninja's like, nah, I'm done. I've seen too much. I've seen too much carnage. Like, I'm out of here. And then Afro's like, yeah, whatever. Like, go on then. And he gets in the elevator. And then Ninja's, of course, just follows him right in.
Yeah.
But like Brother One, it just hops right onto that elevator and starts shooting like a machine gun right into it. And I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. It's gonna go down, and this is gonna be a really good one because this is the last brother, basically, before he gets up to justice. But then the doors open and Brother One just falls out dead already, and I'm like, oh, that was fast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which one was the brother that he just like knocked the binoculars
Number
into,
2?
like pushed him into his eyes?
2.
Yeah.
Yeah, he killed him with his binoculars, just shoved him through his face.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Right. But when he exits, he's facing off against a dude with a big old teddy bear mascot head. And I was like, whoa, I got questions now.
Yeah, there's so much to that. Well, there's not so much to it, but if you watch like episode 2 and 4, you'd completely understand it. But I could see it not making any sense right now. So that just drops us into the third episode we watched for today's show, which was Justice, season 1, episode 5. This was a Patreon pick by Epic Otter and Fernando W. So thank you both.
Thank you, guys. And if you have not watched this series yet and you want to, just heads up, there are going to be quite a few spoilers in this episode here. But this is an old show, guys. So come on now.
2007. Yeah.
Come on now.
What is that? Like 15 years ago?
I don't know. I don't want to know because it's going to make me feel too old. So let's.
In this one, Afro fights Gino, who was, or Kuma, depending on who you're asking, and Justice. In flashback, Gino is reconstructed by the MT7 clan. So we get to see how Gino was sort of constructed and I guess his downfall as well in this episode.
Yeah, and we see that Gino had killed Ninja, like right. So I guess coming off the episode before this, I guess the end of the episode before this one, he slices right through Ninja and kills him, which, begs the question of how and what and why and what's happening, because Ninja is supposed to be like a figment of Afro's imagination. In the anime, at least, we know that he's like a spiritual protector in the manga. So I guess he does somewhat take a corporeal form and can be physically harmed because, yeah, he gets sliced and then dies here.
Yeah, well, here's what I think it is, and I'm not positive on this, but having watched the whole series, like in episode 2, I think it was 2, we get to see, no, I think it was 4 actually. In episode 4, we got to see the fight that essentially left Gino and the rest of the people that Afro was friends with and training with. We got to see what left them either hurt or all dead. And it was at the point that he lost Gino that Jino fell off a cliff basically, and Afro felt like he was alone. That's when Ninja first showed up, was at that point. But it was also when he first got a hold of the number 2 headband, which could have tied it closer to the manga. So I'm thinking that now that he's been reunited with Jino, that he is no longer, as lonely as he was before, or else basically his friend is back that he lost that brought Jino about, or that brought Ninja about in the first place. So now that his friend has returned, maybe that's what has allowed him to let go of Ninja to not have him as that support system any longer.
Yeah, so it's like somewhat symbolic is what you're saying.
That's what I'm thinking, but I don't know how much it's actually tying it to him being a spiritual protector and like in the manga. So that's just conjecture.
Because there's a line that'll come up later that I think might challenge that thought process that I'll bring up when we get there.
And I only say this for Jino specifically because Jino he never acknowledges that Ninja is there. And in fact, like when Afro is talking to Ninja about like double swords versus a single sword in 2 hands, like he says, like he reacts to what Afro is saying as if he is speaking to him, as if he's speaking to Jino. So that's why I'm not sure that he has any idea what Afro is seeing there.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But who knows? Who knows?
So the Kuma thing does he just call himself Kuma when he's wearing the teddy bear head?
Well, I think it was the name that the cybernetics dude gave him. I guess the code name that he gave him. I don't know what it stands for, if anything. I'm not sure if that was brought up.
And Darman is that guy. He's like this weird robo bug looking dude who we see in flashbacks as him and the Empty Seven clan procured Jino's body after he fell off those cliffs, stitched him back together, did all kinds of crazy technological surgery stuff, all these implants, all these cybernetics, all kinds of stuff, turning him into a bit of a Frankenstein's monster. Like, we spend quite a bit of time in this episode following this. And when I say the Frankenstein's monster, and I mean both mentally and physically, I'm talking about kind of the Mary Shelley version, not the Universal Monster sense. I'm talking about the one that's more self-aware of the abomination that it's become and harbors that anger and hatred, like the one that refers to itself as Adam in that kind of sense.
He's very Darth Vader like as well, and in a lot of aspects, really. Like that teddy bear helmet is very similar to Darth Vader's helmet, since it is helping him to breathe and everything as well.
I wish Darth Vader's helmet was like a teddy bear helmet, How much would that have changed all the Star Wars movies?
So the symbolism behind that is also when Afro was young and after his father's death, being trained by his former master and all the other orphaned kids who were there as well. There was this little girl who had that exact teddy bear, or at least looked like that exact teddy bear. And so I think it was meant to play head games with Afro to have that teddy bear head on this android, or on Jino's head, to kind of like screw with them, because he's going to remember that imagery.
Yeah, because he does say, as they're fighting in this episode, he talks about how Afro killed their master. He killed like their friends and stuff. Like he mentions, I think it was Otsuru, which is the girl that you're referring to. So Jino blames Afro for everybody's deaths and all the trouble that's befallen everybody. So yeah, I could totally understand that. He's playing mind games. He's trying to wound him mentally as well as physically. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and he even says there, like towards the end, he says, you either kill me or die. There's no going back. So
yeah, and to be, I guess, completely honest, like Afro is not a good person per se. He is hell-bent on revenge. And as we see throughout all the episodes, if you watch the entire series, all 5 episodes, you'll see just what he's willing to sacrifice to get to that point.
Right. And we see like he does put an end to Jino here and, slices through the dude who hits the ground and he's kind of done for. And as Afro's like walking away and going to finally confront justice, it's subtle, but you see like a little tear, like, fly off from his face and into the wind, which I thought was a nice little touch. Because I was like, whoa, man, that's like the first hint of any emotion you've actually seen from the guy.
Well, with Jino, like he says, like when his helmet first comes off, that he hasn't stopped crying since that day, and you see just a constant tear running down the side of his face.
Are you talking about like Jino hasn't stopped crying?
Yeah.
No, I meant
you're
like
talking
Afro.
about.
Yeah, I was talking about
Afro. Okay.
Yeah, Afro shed like a single tear, and that was like the first emotion I think we've really seen from him.
Right, because really, like the rest of his emotions, aside from anger, were all encapsulated in Ninja, who is now gone.
Yeah.
So he's having to deal with those things externally.
Yeah. So yeah, he finally goes in and he confronts Justice, who shoots him and wounds him immediately.
Yeah.
There's a very long speech from Justice, but like I gotta say, like I think I could listen to that character give evil villain dialogues and monologues all day, because it's fantastic and it's very unnerving. Like he's just so good at it.
Yeah, and it's like it gets to the point where you're questioning whether Afro is the protagonist or antagonist in this sense, because maybe that's just because Justice is so convincing in his resolution that he is essentially saying what he's trying to do is bring peace through all of what he's doing to the world. So he's kind of captured all of these other, or like killed off all these other individuals who came with other headbands, and he's holding them all in this kind of little pocket dimension almost at the top of this mountain. And he wants to also get the number 2 headband, and I guess to essentially put an end to this whole thing, it seems like.
Yeah, he wants it to be over. So he wants to be the last number 1.
So he wants to be God, yes, but it's like he's also doing so to keep everyone from fighting for this position, So it's like, yeah, he's not a good guy, but he's also like, well, maybe that's not so bad. Maybe it's not such a bad idea.
Yeah.
It's almost like the Thanos thing where it's like eliminating half the people. It's like, well, maybe Thanos has a point.
It's like, well, your heart may be in the right place, but the methods, yeah. This is where I was interested in the whole thing about Ninja, was because Justice mentions how interesting it was seeing Afro lose his imaginary friend. So I'm like, oh, so he saw Ninja. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, but he also calls him his imaginary friend.
Yeah, exactly.
So at the same time, I think maybe that's part of having the number 1 headband with those godlike powers, is being able to see in people's minds or dreams to some degree. I'm not sure.
I have no idea, but I just thought that was so interesting, because I was just like, oh, okay, well, that just throws even more questions out. I have no idea what's happening here.
All right.
The fight between them is pretty short, but really ruthless and pretty rough and full of some surprises. I can tell you that much.
We also get to see in this fight how he was able to kill his father in the first episode, which was sort of a mystery up until this point, because his dad looked like he had the upper hand, but then out of nowhere, Justice just decapitates him. And it's like, how? Like how did he do that? He just had those 2 guns.
Exactly.
And so we're left wondering this whole time until this episode, when he tries to pull the same thing on Afro. After Afro takes off both of his gun arms, we see this huge arm like come out of his back with a blade on it. It's like, oh, okay. Or with, holding a blade.
Yes.
And he tries to do the same thing to Afro, but Afro is able to defend against it.
Yeah, Afro blocked it and then decapitated him. But then he regenerates, like he heals, and then impales Afro through the head. Or at least it looked like it. And this is what confused me, because it looked like a spike went right through Afro's head. But I'm guessing it just skimmed it. And really, it must have just gotten tangled in his hair.
That's what it felt like, is it got through, maybe like hit or cut a little bit of the top of his scalp, but was mainly stuck in the Afro itself. which had him dangling up in the air like all these other corpses that we saw who had been pierced through the skulls.
Yes.
And so basically his big hair ended up saving him in this sense. Being an Afro Samurai was way to his advantage here. And he comes down from it and then really like goes all out on Justice, who no longer has any limbs really to defend himself with. And I guess I don't know like how he formed that spike in the first place, maybe just part of his godlike powers at the time, but he cuts him apart just completely.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you've ever seen the Dragon Ball Z episode of Trunks versus Frieza, yeah, it's essentially that.
Without like doing the kind of little Kamehameha thing afterwards to blow the pieces into dust.
Right. He just chops them up.
Yeah. He just, turns them into little morsels. And then when that happens, the headband falls from him. All of those spikes and all of the skeletons and corpses of the others that have come, they all turn to dust. And we jump forward through time a few years. And this I didn't expect. We're on top of the mountain still, and we're seeing Afro face to face, like he's facing down against Jinno, who's back again. But Jinno is now covered head to toe, just wrapped in all of those other headbands, and ready to take on Afro again. And that's basically where the series ends, is those two right about to do battle once again.
The follow-up to this series, well, there's a couple things. So the follow-up to the series is Afro Samurai Resurrection, which is a sequel. And that is a movie, not another series or another season or anything. And then there's also 2 video games. One of them apparently isn't very good. The second one apparently wasn't good, but the first one seems like it was pretty good and actually it was like the same story, but Afro made a different decision and was doing this all not purely for revenge, but to kind of do what Justice was doing and to bring peace and stop all this fighting. So that is, if you want to take a different route from the series, you can go play the game and you'll get, I guess, the good ending versus Afro's, which is just, I finally got my revenge ending.
That's actually pretty interesting. I kind of like that they diverge and they let the story go another way, like just doing a retelling of a similar story. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I was surprised to hear it. I've never played the game, but it looked cool, so maybe I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, looks like it's about time we send our inner kids to futuristic feudal Japan to train with Afro and maybe see if they can get a hold of that number 2 headband to help get us the attention we so desperately crave. Then see what they thought of the show, Afro Samurai.
This show looked pretty cool up front, and it was even better. There was so much blood and sword fighting, and Ninja is the funniest character ever. I can't wait to get a sword of my own so I can use it to steal someone else's headband.
This was such a bloody good show. Or a good bloody show? Either way, this is the kind of samurai I aim to be. Cool sword, big hair, and have an imaginary ninja friend to quip away while I do unspeakable things in the name of revenge. So fun!
So I feel like there's a lot of things to talk about here. We have talked about a lot of things as we went, but what are some of the things that you liked about the show?
So I did like a lot about this show, but to keep it simple, I'll focus on, I think it was just so beautifully animated with the relatively muted palette, which really helped emphasize the bright red blood, because that was the brightest thing you'll see is the blood. Everything else, it's colored, but it's such a muted tone that you won't really notice it as much until you see blood coming out, which is just like considerably brighter than everything else, or more saturated, I should say. And there is plenty of blood, so you will see a lot of red.
Yeah, heavy earth tones during the day, and then very gray and blue during night scenes and stuff. So yeah, anytime red was on the screen, it was extremely vibrant and prominent. You were very correct there.
Can I ask if you noticed any green in his hair? Because they kept saying, and I just didn't see it.
I didn't see it either.
He had like a green tint.
No.
Yeah, okay. I thought it was just me.
I didn't notice that either, but I have seen promo images where it did feel like there was a green tint.
Okay, so maybe it was just the lighting that he was in.
Well, and I thought that was just because of the picture being washed out or something like that. I didn't realize that was on purpose. But at no point watching it did I feel like there was a green tint to his hair.
Yeah, even when I was looking for it, I wasn't able to see it. I didn't know if I had just lost the ability to see green well or something, but yeah.
All of a sudden
it
you're like
wasn't-
panicking because you're like, oh crap, I'm
Yeah.
colorblind. Oh no.
I'm green colorblind.
Oh.
No, but so that wasn't very apparent if it was there.
Yeah.
But also the action scenes are, and this kind of goes along with the animation, but the action scenes are so incredibly kinetic and quite visceral, as we've been talking about, which is a style I love seeing in any combat heavy anime. So if you're going to go combat, if you're going to have fights, like this is the kind of fights I like to see, is those like off the wall, like over the top, like crazy. It doesn't have to be super bloody. This one just happens to be, but I enjoyed it all the same.
I think something that really helped the fighting and everything was just how fluid everything was. And it's not just in the animation, like the choreography of the fights and stuff. It's also because the characters a lot of times are very lanky and the swords and weapons are really long and the costumes and the clothing that they wear are really long. Like Afro's headband, the tassels that hang off the back are so long. So they're always like trailing somewhere and creating these big zigzags, like almost like across the entire screen. Even if he's off to a corner, they are your eyes following them across the screen. So it's just constant movement. Like your eyes are constantly following the movement of something during every scene like that, especially during the fighting. So it makes everything just feel so fluid, so quick. It was just kind of amazing to see, really. There's only a few shows I feel like I've ever watched that really capture that in such a perfect way, and this is definitely among them.
Absolutely. What are some of the other things you liked about it?
I think the music really added a lot to this. My goodness, it just fits the vibe so well. And what I thought was interesting too is like there is some music similar to this in Samurai Jack, just to pull those comparisons and stuff like that. But there is something about those lo-fi beats that fit the samurai genre so well for some reason. I don't know what it is, but this was just perfectly blended.
I'm going to bring up another show that just proves your point further, which is Samurai Champloo, if anyone's ever seen that one.
Oh my gosh, yes. I totally forgot about it, but you were 100% correct. I don't know what it is. It's just, it fits so well. And it just like, it gets you in the mood. It adds like that extra layer of cool and attitude to it, to these, these samurai characters and these kind of like, I don't know. It just fits these lone shogun type characters so well. God, I loved it. I got so sucked into watching this thing and just right into the aesthetic of it all. It was just perfectly rounded.
Definitely. And it made sense that it was a member of the Wu-Tang Clan, RZA, who had part in this. I don't know that he did all the music, but a lot of it was from him.
Yeah. And then also I also wanted to just touch one more time on Ron Perlman's portrayal. It was so good. It was extremely unsettling. It's maybe one of my favorite portrayals from a voice actor I've heard in quite a long time, which, I mean, that carries some weight to it because guys, we do this every week. We listen to this stuff constantly. My God, it is so good listening to this dude's monologues and everything. I just think that character was fantastic. So whatever you did, Ron Perlman, to get into the mindset for this, woof.
You're 100% right there. And I think that, shout out to everyone who did all the voices in this show in particular, because everyone was spot on. Ron Perlman stood out to us, I think, mostly because we heard the exact opposite of it in that, Howard Lovecraft movie.
Yeah.
And so to see like, oh, this is what he's truly capable of as a voice actor as well. It's like, okay, yeah, he still got it.
Yeah.
And he delivers 100% here. 110.
110. Yeah. 111, I would even say.
So I want to bring up something that it's not controversial, but it's a dislike that is not necessarily something I agree with, but I want to bring it up just so people can be aware of it. So I think like many of his aforementioned inspirations, I don't know how to say that word. Afro Samurai is definitely more about style than it is substance. And what I mean by that is the story is a very basic revenge plot, initially built around those two headbands that helps keep it, helps keep the goal fixed within certain boundaries. But outside of that, the real reason to see this one is the action. Like it's mostly just dialogue, small bits of dialogue leading up to more action. And I put it in the dislike section because it needs to be noted, but honestly, I'm a pretty simple guy, so that doesn't really bother me at all since the killer fight scenes more than make up for what the story lacked. But I just want to bring it up because there's not a lot here as far as depth goes. There's some complexity to it just because there's a lot of different angles it's taking, but it's not something where you're going to be super engrossed in the story as much as you are visually entertained by what all's going on.
I like that you said that because that's going to go into my dislike as well. And what I have to say about that is, and I say this having not seen all the episodes yet. You've watched the full thing. I've seen all but 2 episodes. I would like to have seen more episodes where they have more story to it and they explore more of this world, because I feel like they added a ton of things. There are so many characters, there are so many unique aspects. There's actually a ton of world building to this thing, but like you said, the through plot is very, I don't know, there's not much to it. It's simply point A to point B. Person A goes to kill person B, and that's the through line. I mean, there really isn't a whole lot more than that. So I would love to have seen more episodes where they take a little bit of time, slow down to get to that person B, to complicate that journey so it isn't just a throughput journey, which almost feels sort of like video game, like it's extremely linear. Like the journey, even though he does fight a lot of people, he has no real pitfalls along this journey. He gets from A to B without really having to slow down. And I think that some complexities there would have made for, a little bit more interesting stuff. However, I mean, that said, I loved everything I saw. And I loved everything that I have partaken in so far. So that's just a little bit of a criticism in also saying that I just really enjoyed this show a lot and just wish that they had dived a little bit deeper into it, which maybe the manga does. I don't know because I haven't read it.
Yeah.
But I sure am going to.
Right. And I'm not certain either as far as what the manga actually delves deeper into. As far as the series go, I think you should definitely watch 2 and 4 because 4, especially for me, answers a lot of questions, especially about Jino's place and everything, and really what set Afro on his lonely mission that he is now on. So just that episode alone helps answer a lot of those questions, and 2 does tie up some other loose ends, but a lot of the characters, like you were saying, are pretty shallow. Like the whole Empty Seven clan, it's as interesting as they seem, it really just seems like a cult who's aiming to go for the #1 headband and just has to go through Afro to get there. That's really as complex as they get.
They don't feel like there's a motivation for them to be there. They do feel like, the brainchild of someone that were plopped into the world for the specific purpose of being in the way, and that they don't have a real reason for existing other than being a roadblock. And maybe that makes the show a little bit more metaphorical than literal, but I think I'd rather see it fleshed out a little more in any of those aspects. So
with that said, what would you end up rating this show?
I mean, those feelings aside, I think the show was so good. It's definitely violent for sure, but there's parts of it that are still very compelling in their own rights, and the animation itself is just masterful to see. The animation is kind of like a gold star. It's almost flawless. It makes it almost impossible with that, along with the music, along with just the vibe and the attitude of the whole thing, to not really get lost in. So I gave Afro Samurai 5 bowls of Samurai Drone cereal out of 5. I'm definitely going to watch the full thing in a full sitting. And I got to say, if you were into Samurai Jack and you can stand to see something similar in spirit, but with like the violence factor cranked all the way up, this is the show for you. I think kind of like you said, it's like Samurai Jack meets Vash the Stampede with extra blood.
Yeah. So this show was a wonderful blend of kung fu samurai films, 70s blaxploitation, and anime, all of which it turns out worked quite well together. And so while it's not super complex, it doesn't really need to be since that wasn't his true focus. Okazaki was a big fan of certain cultural stylings, and what he created was a wonderful homage to all of them. So overall, I'd give Afro Samurai 5 big bowls of teddy bear samurai cereal out of 5, and I highly recommend you give this one a shot for some over-the-top samurai battle goodness.
Yeah. All right, folks. So for next week's episode, we're going to do something really nerdy. I'm having Joseph roll some of his dice from our D&D stuff to help me figure out what the next episode's going to be. So, Joseph, if you would, start by rolling a D4.
Got a 3.
Okay. Roll a D10.
5.
And roll one more D10.
6.
All right, Joseph, cue me up.
Well, listeners, looks like our milk supply is now run dry, so it's time for us to say goodbye. And next week, we'll be watching
Moribito, Guardian of the Spirit, suggested via Reddit by MF Mad. It's an anime.
So, what is it? Say it again.
Moribito, Guardian of the Spirit.
2007 also. Oh, interesting.
Yep. We are stuck in the 2007s. 2007's anime. This is the most anime we've done for a while. We've got 2 back-to-back, man.
Oh, yeah. You know what was interesting is, like, before we had rewatched this and I had looked into it, Afro Samurai,
Yeah.
I had assumed that it was like Yasuke, where it was like a westernized anime, but
Sure.
Afro Samurai was an actual Japanese anime by a Japanese creator, which I thought was interesting because I never knew that.
I could not find cast info on the Japanese cast either, which kind of bummed me out because I sure looked and they were not listed. Kind of a bummer. But for next week, they're definitely listed.
Yeah, even the title card on this one is in Japanese.
Yep. So good luck to me.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
All right, well, cool. I've never heard of this. Never heard of it, but I do enjoy most anime, so I'm sure it'll be fun.
I'm excited. So thanks again to David B for suggesting Afro Samurai. We're really excited to watch it. Thank you so much for getting me into this thing for sure. I loved it.
Well, once again, I'm Joseph.
And I'm Chris.
We'll see you next Saturday.
Presented by Nerdsloth.
A place for lazy nerds.
If you like what you heard, consider donating at patreon.com/nerdsloth so we can continue bringing you quality shows. Be sure to also leave us a review and share your favorite episodes and clips on social media. If you're looking for more content, visit us at nerdsloth.com.